Hey guys, Wolfie here with a special presentation for the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia for the 15th of May 2020, and this is going to go into a bit into the burst weapons, but I'm going to be putting a little bit more focus on Final Fantasy XIII because, as we all know, that there's a bit of a debate going on, not as strongly, but it is there. And is who's going to be getting their burst weapon alongside Lightning. Now, I'm going to go over the top two candidates, and yes, I did say two, because I do feel that Caius has competition, and the competition, after looking at some evidence, actually presents a much stronger case of getting their burst weapon as opposed to Caius. But to be completely fair, this one also has things going against them that Caius actually has going for him. Now, what we'll be doing for this particular video, and before I go into that, these types of videos are my opinion only, and I will do my absolute best to bring in a link to the Tracer of Memories, which is a novella based on Lightning Returns, in the description below. So that's that out of the way. So for this particular video I'm going to do this a bit of a one feral swoop for the competition, as well as Caius, is that what they have going for them, what they have going against them, and what does the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia have to do, route-wise, for whoever to get their burst weapon, So I'm going to do one for the competition, and do another for Caius. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to go over a hypothetical scenario to the person who probably would get it, should it come to light that the competition and Caius do not get their burst weapon. And this hypothetical character does. And why. So with that, I'll meet you at the home screen. I'm going to go over Caius first, so that way you guys can understand certain things, and I can get my thoughts together, so I'll be back. I am back, and as promised, this is Caius. So, yeah, if you're information shouting him here, so I gotta take another quick pause, so hold on. I am back. I had a bit of a coughing fit, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. But anyway, so with Caius, he does have surprising aspects that he has going for him, but he does have a good share of things going against him. So, with that all out of the way, what does Caius have going for him? Now, the thing is with the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, he has this MO of sorts of how a villain is recruited into the game. With the whole thing, with that is the dimensional coordinates that is obtained in Caius' case. It's actually stolen, so he has the quote-unquote MO for how a villain is recruited into this particular game. So that he definitely has going for him. Now, the surprising thing he has going for him, besides all of that, is that the interactions, all the chit-chat between Caius and everybody else, how people can't trust him, so on and so forth. Even in the main story where he's mentioned, we can't trust him. Although, with some of the characters, it's like, how do some of the Final Fantasy XIII characters know him when he's from a sequel? Although the person who actually has some degree of knowledge in the sequel, besides the characters, I want to say it's Saz, but you never know. I'm not even sure if Neil knew about him, but I don't. Maybe not. But this is just pretty much the DFFOO storyline in a very quick nutshell during Act 2, Chapter 1. Now, with that all out of the way, again, he has the MO of how a villain's recruited. He is Lightning's rival, but what does he have going against him? And the answer is pretty surprising, as well as something that's right underneath our own nose. Now, with Caius, he is from a sequel. And sequel characters don't really get accounted for regarding burst weapons in that very spectrum, meaning that he's probably not going to get it if they continue the route of the antagonist from the main series and they exclude sequels, prequels, and spin-offs. So that's that on that. And the thing is with Caius, I did a little digging up on my own outside of the game. Caius does not have a second costume. Now, there are some antagonists who actually have a second costume that's either on Global already or will be on Global. Bane has a second costume. Sephiroth has a second costume. I know Kuja has a second costume. And I gotta take a super quick pause again. Sorry about that. I was going to be sneezing, so I just didn't want that on the video here. So, to reiterate, Sephiroth has a second costume. I know Kuja has a second costume. I also know that X-Death will be getting his second costume with his Lost Chapter. I know Kefka will be getting his second costume soon. And his second costume is, from my understanding, I think it's tied to his, what is it? his burst weapon. So, those are some prime examples of villains getting their alternate costume. I think Garland gets his second costume as well. But I could be wrong there. So the thing is here, Caius does not have an alternate costume, so this could hurt him. If people were to really look into it. And again, the biggest thing though, he is from a sequel. And I honestly don't think that they're going to include anyone from a sequel as an antagonist. Unless they include the opposite person, which in Caius' case, that would be Sarah. So, what does the DFFOO development team have to do in order to ensure that Caius would be getting his burst weapon and not Snow? The thing is with Caius, there are a few things they have to do. Is that for the DFFOO development team, both in JP and Global, is that they would have to make Caius the exception to the rule that they have. Meaning that, granted, he's from a sequel, but he is Lightning's rival. That's going to be the one thing that will help him the most. That will be the one thing that DFFOO will have to do in order to ensure Caius gets his burst weapon, because, yes, he's Lightning's rival, but he's from a sequel. There is no mentioning of Caius at all in 13. In sense of the events in 13 and leading up to 13. So that's that on that. So the biggest thing, like I say here, to do a very quick recap, is that for Caius, he's from a sequel, he's Lightning's rival. But for him to get his burst weapon and not Snow, he would have to become the exception to the rule that DFFOO has in place. So with that, I'm going to be doing another pause, and we're going to be seeing this screen, but with Snow. I am back. Let me restart that part. I am back, and now we're with Snow. So what does Snow have going for him? Now, unlike Caius, Snow has appeared in all 13 games in some capacity. And in each game, he has a different wardrobe. Now, the reason why this might help him out in an unexpected way is because throughout the 13 trilogy, Lightning also has 3 different costumes. Now, there is some people who have been speculating on Twitter, with Lightning return gear, and I believe that's Crimson Blitz. Some people are speculating that's her 3rd costume and a weapon skin. I would not be surprised, personally, if that's the Lightning costume, the Lightning Returns costume, and the Crimson Blitz blade is indicating a different version of Lightning coming to the game. I would not be surprised by that. So, and the thing is, it's like, that's the whole thing with Snow. He has 3 different costumes. That means he was in all 3 games in some capacity. In Lightning Returns, Snow and Lightning face off against each other. And the thing is, to do some spoilers here, that during the events of 13-2, Snow does in fact get rebranded. And the whole thing there, it is kind of important, is because during the events of Lightning Returns, Snow begs Lightning to kill him, and he knows that he couldn't do anything to prevent Sarah from dying. He is about to become Seath in Lightning Returns, and it's Lightning who brings him back to reality. Now the thing is, in Snow, in Lightning Returns, speaking of which, it is that how he is there and his appearance in the city of Final Fantasy NT. Is because Snow in NT, it is the Lightning Returns version of Snow. And some people could very well argue that Snow is the true rival to Lightning, as opposed to Caius, the reason being Sarah. And the reason why I kind of bring this up now is because with Snow, during the events of 13, it's quite early, believe it or not, is when Sarah is about to go into crystal stasis, and both Lightning and Snow are there, Sarah actually ignores Lightning because she refers to Snow as my hero. Her hero has arrived, and we all know that when Sarah says it, and it's something along those lines, she is clearly referring to Sarah's clearly referring to Snow, not Lightning. I don't think she realizes Lightning's even there. So that's a bit of a rivalry there. And then the whole thing with Snow is, like, he mentioned something about Crystal Stasis being branded. He knew certain things that Lightning did not. So that's the thing he has going for him, is that there's a lot of evidence throughout the entire trilogy that kind of leads to Snow and not Lightning, but he does have few things going on against him, meaning that with 13, he's all like jolly, and he does join the party on his own will in DFFOO. So, with that all out of the way, what does DFFOO have to do to ensure that Snow gets his first weapon and not Caius? Well, they would actually have to follow the City of Final Fantasy NT roster. Meaning that, for those of you who have played that game, is that the game wanted at least 2 characters from the main series, meaning Final Fantasy 1 through 15, at least 2 characters. Now, 13 was not an exception to the rule, and 13 actually had a bit of a more of an interesting go at it than some of the others. And I was pleasantly surprised when they picked Snow as the last of the 6 characters after the initial release. That was really surprising, but I am liking that. So, to do a bit of a quick recap here, Snow's biggest thing that he has going for him is that his appearance in Lightning Returns is how Snow is in the City of Final Fantasy NT roster, and the NT roster will be his biggest card to play should they pick him for his first weapon as opposed to Caius. So I'll be back. I'll meet you guys at the home screen with a hypothetical scenario. So I'll be back. I am back, and I'm just gonna go over a hypothetical scenario here. So there is a chance where Snow does not get his first weapon, and there's a chance that Caius also does not get his first weapon. So for the 13 antagonists, who would it be? Now, there are a few possible candidates, and with surprising reasons why. Now, 2 of them are in the game. Well, actually, one of them, but there's a version of the other that's not. So one potential candidate, surprise, 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 it's Fang. But the reason why it definitely will not be her is that, like Caius, she is not on the NT roster. Not to mention that she also does not have an alternate costume. Now, another potential candidate has a bit more weight to it, and for reasons that you may not think, is that it's Hope. However, the Hope is going to be from 13-2, or it could be the Hope that's in the game. Now, the thing is with Hope, again, he is in all three, like Snow. He only has 2 costumes, quote unquote. The second one is that it is Hope as an adult. However, it would be really awkward for adult Hope to be a character skin, if you will. An alternate costume. It means adult Hope would have to come into the game with a completely different skill set. So Hope, yeah, he's in all 3, and he is the one, who Lightning has to free up in the events of Lightning Returns. So, with that out of the way, the third potential character is not even in DFFOO yet. And this character is more than likely going to be Bartandalus. He is the one pulling quite a few strings throughout the events of 13. He's from the main series, if you will. He is a true antagonist. But then again, we don't know how long DFFOO is going to be running. And with that, honestly, because they probably won't go that route, Bartandalus might not show up in the game and not get his burst weapon, but you never know. So for a final thoughts here, people are speculating that Caius is going to get the burst weapon because, one, he has the MO of a villain being recruited, but not all villains are like that. That is a bit of a counter I want to make. Because if you look at Jack from Final Fantasy X, he actually joins the party, if it makes sense, on his own will, kind of. So, if you look at the character event for Snow, for those of you who've already played through it, through the initial event and his lost chapter, Snow joins the party on his own will. Same thing with Hope. So, yes, Caius does have, you have to grant the dimensional coordinates in DFFOO in order to recruit him. So, that's that on that. But with that being said, Snow actually has some excellent arguments. Snow has an alternate costume. The alternate costume is from Lightning Returns. That's coming Sunday for those of you in or near the United States. It's Sunday night, so that's one argument. Another argument is that Snow actually is in the NT roster. It would be interesting to see, though, how the DFFOO developers will go with this choice. And like I said, people are speculating that it's Caius because the whole MO for a villain to get recruited into DFFOO. He is Lightning's rival. But if you look at some other degree of evidence, meaning the alternate costume, the NT roster, it's going to be leaning towards Snow in that regard. So, and my personal pick is going to be Snow because of the NT roster. Snow has a second costume coming, and I do believe that Snow is Lightning's true rival, not Caius. So with that, I'll be signing off, and I will catch you all on the flip side.